The Great Australian Bight is an area like no other. It is wild, untouched, and powerful, yet pristine, nurturing and supportive. Sustains life both in the ocean and on the land. It maintains environments from the rugged cliffs and beaches of the coast to the darkest depths of the sea. This is the Great Australian Bight.
First up tonight, the breaking news. In fact, it's heartbreaking news for anyone who counts on the Gulf Coast for a living or simply loves the natural beauty of it. It is murder for the animals that call it home.
The millions of gallons of crude oil pouring into the Gulf of Mexico, devastating the livelihoods of individuals and the economies of coastal towns all along the Gulf of Mexico.
In 2010, the Gulf of Mexico saw the biggest accidental oil spill in history. Over 87 days, 3.19 million barrels of oil spilled into the Gulf. Now, 6 years on, and the community and marine life of the area are still suffering. The place will never be the same.
Okay, well today we're launching the Great Australian Bight Alliance, which is a collaboration of big national environmental groups standing together with local community groups from Kangaroo Island, the West Coast and across Southern Australia, and traditional elders across Southern Australia to say no to what BP are trying to do in the Great Australian Bight. Risking the coastlines of Southern Australia is simply not.
My tribe is called the Mourning People. We are the people of the whale, keepers of the whale and keepers of the whale sanctuary and the whale stories and the songs and protectors of our heritage and land. This ocean is sacred. It is very sacred to mankind. It's sacred to all the marine life. It's sacred to all the mammals in the ocean. It's a sacred place, and also it's an energy. It's a living being. It's part of the earth. It gives life, and the main thing, it keeps our planet Earth alive and sustains all what we need. We protected that land for a long time. That's why that beautiful country and that beautiful land is still standing and looking good today, and clean and untouched. We've got to keep it clean. If we let that get destroyed, what we do to the ocean, what we do to the earth, we do to ourselves. All that's dead and destroyed will never return.
You cannot let the oil industry expand into one of the most significant marine wilderness areas left on the planet, and you cannot allow the oil industry to expand at this point in history, or else we're going to cook the planet. It's quite simple. This is not an option. We cannot let BP go into the Great Australian Bight.
And the Great Australian Bight is the engine room of the Southern Australian marine environment. I mean, the system that we're dealing with here, deep sea nutrient upwellings that drive the huge biodiversity in this region. This is why the huge whales, the dolphins, huge schools of fish move through this region. It's what drives the entire system. And you cannot put that at risk, because it's the very heart of what we're talking about that's at stake. The Bight is a remarkable place. It sustains a very important tourism industry. It sustains a very important fishing industry. It sustains the very coastal way of life of people in this part of the world. It's about as iconic and as important as it gets. It will not be put at risk.
My name's Sue Coleman Hazeldine. I'm from Stuna on the far west coast of South Australia. I've lived here all my life. I was actually born on a mission 45 kilometres out west. But I've lived around the district all my life, and I've depended on the ocean for my food. I've taught my kids and my grandchildren how to survive from food in the ocean when the tide's out.
Our community around here survives on the sea. We swim in it, we surf in it, and we get a lot of food from it. If there's any sort of accident from BP, Chevron, the other companies that are involved, they have no idea of how they can destroy this pristine part of our country.
If we get an oil spill of any sort, my livelihood, my traditional lifestyle will be gone. And what about the oyster farmers? What about the fishermen? They've got a livelihood as well. And that all depends on clean waters, clean oceans. So we really don't need this threat. We're told accidents don't happen, but we all know that they do. And you've only got to look at what's happening in the Gulf of Mexico to see that that could quite easily be the far west coast of South Australia.
I remember standing on those Nullarbor cliffs with my now wife, and we looked out and we saw a mother and a calf, southern right whale, just down below. You know, and that is the true spirit of Australia. These vast wilderness areas full of nature on a grand scale, which in today's world is rare and unique. We have a global responsibility to protect it. Our mission is to showcase the incredible biodiversity of this region that would be smashed by an oil spill, even if it was a conservative one compared to the Gulf of Mexico one. Places like Knight's Reef, places like St Francis Isles, places like Head of the Bight, Fowler's Bay, the whale nurseries, Kangaroo Island, all these places would be smashed by an oil spill.
But the one thing we need to do is keep the pressure on. Because what's happened in the last 12 months is this campaign has grown from a small local campaign to a national campaign and now into an international campaign. And that's what it's going to take. We simply cannot allow this to happen. And it's people like us right across the world now saying no to this proposition that is ultimately what's going to stop it. So keep it up, folks. We're getting there.
It's going to be a $1.4 billion investment. 2 oil exploration wells, 2.5 kilometres deep in the Great Australian Bight. All BP needed was environmental approval. Now the oil giant has pulled away from the project.
BP's announcement that they're not going to pursue their interests in the Great Australian Bight, they're not going to continue to push to carry out risky deep sea drilling in this pristine marine wilderness area is very, very welcome news. BP have made the right decision, and a credit to them, it's a very responsible decision. The Bight is a totally inappropriate place to be trying to turn into an oil field. This is one of the most pristine marine wilderness areas on the planet. So I guess we're calling on all of the oil companies with an interest in the Great Australian Bight, all of the companies that still have leases there, to follow BP's lead. Make a responsible decision here. Pull out of the Bight. Recognise that this is a totally inappropriate place to be pushing to expand this industry, but also recognise that this is a totally inappropriate time in history to be pushing to expand the fossil fuel industry, because we don't have this option if we're going to have a livable climate for our kids.
The ocean is an amazing place. It is filled with wonder, beauty, intelligence, and inspiration. We look to space to explore the beyond, but what we have surrounding us is more impressive than we will ever know. Although the path has pushed BP out of the Southern Ocean, the fight for the Great Australian Bight has just begun. As other major oil companies sniff to pursue destruction on the ocean floor, we need to be the voice. For the marine life, for the environment, for what is right. The fight is not over.